Welcome to the first in a series of online open houses for the Carling-Bayview Community Design Plan. 2 video presentations are included in this open house. The first provides background information on the evolution of the area around the Bayview LRT station, as well as the planning principles and options developed with stakeholders and the community. The second video describes in detail the proposed planning concept. After you have viewed the design principles and the planning concept, please provide your observations and opinions in our online survey. Thank you very much for your interest and participation. The Bayview-Carling area has changed a great deal over the years. In 1928, a large part of the area was under the Ottawa River. Nepean Bay was a parking lot for logs, and many railroad connections were required. A railroad roundhouse was located at the current Tom Brown Arena site, and there was a bridge over the rail line connecting Wellington and Albert Street. By 1944, a street network had been established in the communities of LeBreton, Dalhousie, Mechanicsville, and Hintonburg. In the 1950 Grieber Plan for the National Capital, an urban renewal scheme for the area included building towers in the parks, constructing highways along the current Queensway and O-Train corridors, and developing a grand roundabout where the Bayview O-Train station is now located. With the exception of the Queensway, most of the proposed elements in the plan were never implemented. Very little had changed as a new decade began in 1960. The roundhouse and the bridge over the railway were still in operation. Here we see the entire community of LeBreton Flats flanked by Bayview in this 1962 photo. This is the Bayview area of today. Quite a few changes. The construction of the Ottawa River Parkway in the 1960s moved the Nepean Bay shoreline towards the north. Most railway lines were removed by the 1970s, and the roundhouse was replaced by Tom Brown Arena. The bridge over the rail line was also demolished, and a multi-story building was built on city centre lands. The bus rapid transit line was built in the 1980s, and in 2001 the O-Train was introduced. Within 600 meters of the Bayview LRT station, many properties are currently vacant or underutilized. There are 5 major land use designations in this area. Illustrated on the map in the area designated as Mixed Use Center, these areas are focal points of activity. They are noted for development that is both locally and regionally oriented, are strategically located on the rapid transit network, and lie adjacent to major roads. This designation is a critical element in the city's growth management strategy. The area to the north of Albert Street and east of the Bayview Yards is designated Central Area. The Central Area is the economic and cultural heart of the city, in other words, Ottawa's downtown neighborhoods. The area along the Ottawa River is major open space. The quality of life of the communities, as well as the overall integrity of the natural environment, is protected by this designation. Wellington Street, Somerset, and Preston Streets are designated traditional main streets. These commercial streets were developed prior to 1945 and are typically set within a tightly knit urban fabric with buildings that are small scale, with narrow frontages set close to the street. The official plan promotes compact, mixed-use development, including the creation of a pedestrian-friendly environment along these streets. The rest of the area is designated general urban. In this area, we see a full range of housing, conveniently located employment, services, and entertainment. This area is suitable for compatible infill development that can enhance the characteristics of the communities. Many properties around the Bayview LRT station are identified as underutilized, and they are the focus of the Community Design Plan study. Through consultation with the communities and stakeholders, the CDP process will recommend appropriate scale, density, and form of development. This may include high-density spaces, such as offices, apartments, and commercial uses, as well as community amenities, public open space, and other low-density applications. This mix creates a good place for people to live, work, and visit. Properties within our study area are owned by various public agencies and private parties. The City of Ottawa owns the rail corridor as well as many properties along the west side of the corridor. The National Capital Commission owns lands in the Breton Flats and along the Ottawa River. Public Works and Government Services Canada is the owner of the property south of Somerset. This area has also been the subject of many planning studies and policies over the years. The Council-approved planning concept for the Bayview Yards envisions the development of approximately 1,600 residential units and 30,000 square meters of commercial and community facilities on the city-owned property. The design is subject to a proof of concept environmental scan. Depending on the results of further environmental investigations, the building heights and density may be modified. Bordering on our CDP area, the NCC's plan for the Breton Flats proposes mixed-use developments within an urban street grid. This approach partners well with the goals of the CDP. The NCC also has a long-term vision to establish another national cultural institution on lands between the Ottawa River Parkway and the Transit Corridor. A private development plan was approved by the former City of Ottawa on lands known as City Centre. The plan calls for the development of over 1 million square feet of office, commercial, and residential spaces. Perhaps the most important planning initiative that will shape the future of this area is the proposed light rail transit. This multi-billion-dollar project is the most significant public infrastructure investment ever made by the city. 2 light rail lines will be located within the Bayview area, and Bayview Station will be an important transfer station on the proposed light rail network. There are some unique challenges facing the planning and design of the Bayview area. Underground, a web of pipes, water mains, and sewers serve this community and several others. Since much of this infrastructure was installed many years ago, they are not located under municipal right-of-ways. This causes redevelopment to be potentially more difficult and expensive. In 2006, design workshops were held with area stakeholders. A planning and design framework was developed for each LRT station area identified in the Carling-Bayview CDP. Further input on the framework was then received from the broader community. The following are the 8 design principles used to guide the development of the CDP for the Bayview Station area. Principle number 1. Concentrate new development at the Bayview Station and near the corridor while providing a transition to protect any existing stable residential areas. Locating high-density development at and near the LRT station will encourage more people to take advantage of the transit services. With more people using the services, the transit will become more efficient and financially viable. As illustrated in this example from Toronto, such a development pattern will allow for compact development to occur while minimizing adverse impacts on the existing low-scale residential neighborhoods. In these images, you can see several design strategies that provide much-needed additional housing units or commercial spaces while reinforcing the qualities of an existing environment as they transition to residential areas. For example, by setting back the upper levels of new buildings, upper floors have less impact by not crowding the streetscape. Architectural details reflect the character of neighboring buildings. Principle number 2. Keep Tom Brown Arena site as a public facility and open space. Principle number 3. Extend the street pattern east of City Centre Road to the LRT corridor while encouraging pedestrian connections and limiting the amount of traffic through the area. By extending the street pattern into the Bayview Station area, the site opens up, increasing its potential to be well used. This principle is well exhibited in Vancouver's False Creek, where the success of this redevelopment has been globally recognized. The waterfront is the attraction of the site. By extending the existing street pattern down from the city to the water, people are encouraged into the False Creek area. Another example of this principle is illustrated at the Science Campus of the University of Quebec in Montreal. It encourages pedestrian streets and paths between and through buildings to make the area easily accessible and therefore pedestrian-friendly. Principle number 4. Extend a Wellington Street pedestrian connection over the tracks. Extending Wellington Street, perhaps with a bridge, will reconnect 2 neighborhoods divided currently by the O-train tracks and in the future by the LRT tracks. It will also provide much improved access to and from the future Bayview LRT station. Principle number 5. Implement the multifunctional pathway along the north-south LRT line to connect Dow's Lake to the Ottawa River. By extending the pathway along the north-south LRT line, this green corridor will create a very important new transportation and recreational option. Principle number 6. Keep a visual opening to the Ottawa River from south of the corridor. A green open corridor with minimum physical and visual obstructions is a very unique feature of the Carling-Bayview community. By maintaining and enhancing its character, the corridor will continue to serve the communities as an urban oasis within a mixed-use center. Maintaining views to recognizable places will also help us to orient ourselves while navigating through the city. Principle number 7. Create continuous building frontages along the Scott Street and Somerset Street bridges. The Scott Street Bridge is a bleak, sloping environment that creates a highly inaccessible street for pedestrians, a no man's land. Creating a continuous building frontage turns a bridge into a street. In Ottawa, this principle was employed by the Rideau Centre and the Department of National Defence, which were developed up to and along the Mackenzie King Bridge. This has allowed this part of the bridge to become a node of pedestrian activity. In Montreal, buildings line the steep and sloping streets of Saint-Laurent or Saint-Denis, creating extremely novel and attractive environments for urban life. In Toronto, residential buildings with commercial and retail uses are built along the sloping bridge that crosses the rail tracks along Spadina Avenue, just west of the Rogers Centre. Building up to the bridge edge will make this part of Scott Street a more pleasant environment, active with people and places. Principle number 8. Address topographic challenges at Bayview and Somerset bridges in two important ways. First, the heart of the Bayview Station area is between two bridges, the Scott Street and Somerset Street bridges. Navigation is challenged because of significant differences in height from the bridges to the ground. These differences in ground levels make the whole area virtually inaccessible. This pedestrian is shown using a well-traveled, informal path that involves a treacherous climb to reach the main thoroughfare and transit. Therefore, a key principle is to design so that new developments become level with the bridges, allowing people to move up and down effortlessly. The principle was already applied long ago by Takaki Motors. By building along the north side of Somerset Bridge, employees and patrons can better utilize the steeply sloped ground that it's built upon. Again in Montreal, the University of Quebec designed its streets and paths so that they connected students, professors, and other users from one level to the next with an attractive transition. In Seattle, Washington, much of the city is built on a slope toward the Pacific Ocean. The city has mastered these challenges by creating attractive people places on this long, steep slope. The innovative design in this example shows how a park was used to link a lower to a higher level. One of these even goes over two highways. The second way to address the topographic challenge is illustrated here, where the Rideau Centre in Ottawa provides a parking and servicing area beneath its more visible level at the Mackenzie King Bridge. Likewise, we previously saw the development built up to and fronting Spadina Avenue in Toronto. It efficiently uses space beneath these built-up areas for generally uninteresting but necessary uses such as loading, servicing, and parking. In June 2010, the CDP team, including community representatives, property owners, and public agencies, reviewed and discussed 4 options, identifying those items that should be considered in a planning concept. The planning concept emerged as the CDP team explored these scenarios, ensuring all were consistent with the 8 design principles. Other area considerations include existing planning initiatives that have been approved for the area, the Bayview Yards development, the NCC's plan for LeBreton Flats, and the city's LRT project. In addition, conditions of the existing municipal infrastructure and its future configuration have a significant impact on how development can occur. The planning concept combines the best of these scenarios in response to the challenges facing this unique area. Please proceed to Part 2 of this presentation to review the refined planning concept. Thank you.